I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice.
Do your own research.
Consult a professional investment advisor before making any investment decisions.
This show is for entertainment only. Faites vos propres recherches.
Here we are
in another episode
of the Simple Success Podcast.
And
this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
Well, do I? Do you? Do you what? Please refer to the title of this episode, s'il vous plaît. With respect to what's best for vous? Yeah, something like that. No, wait, for our listeners, especially our would-be student listeners, make your answer be in respect to them. Okay, all right. I shall certainly endeavor to do just that, and you could be my senior analyst. Good. Now, if you would, please start with a complete recitation of the advanced degrees that are already yours. You sure we have time? No, sir, I am not sure about that. We'll have to wing it and see how it all works. Okay, here goes. We're ready now. I've been telling you already for a few seconds. Funny, all I heard was nothing. Correct. Understanding this is not a thing I have. Tell me, what don't you understand about correct? I didn't hear anything. Well, that would be because I didn't say anything. Okay, it's the microphone. Would you like to try again? No, the microphone's fine. Everyone heard perfectly. But you didn't say anything. Oh, that? Well, that's because there was nothing to say. Oh, I see. Not. Okay, we'll move on and you can tell us later. But there's nothing to tell. I don't have any advanced degrees. In fact, I don't even have a 4-year degree. You didn't need a 4-year degree? Doesn't seem so. At least not so far. Maybe if I'm picked to be vice president or something.
Like that whatever happened.
DT, you there? I think he's trying to figure out whether or not he should ask me more questions, like in formal education. He doesn't know what to ask me next, like traditional education. You know, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you want to know more about my life story. So let's talk about that. Thank you for that rousing show of anticipation there, DT. I guess I should start at the beginning. My name is John, and that means...
Break number 1.
Thanks for attempting to cover that up, Daniel, but you're early.
Sorry, I got a bit excited there.
You were or were not saying, John? Career tips, maybe? I'm thinking. You probably don't want that far back of a beginning, do you? Your beginning would be enough, thanks. All right, so this really is way past the beginning, but it was an important paradigm shift for me. Is this connected to the Too Old for Microsoft episode we did recently? It is, sorta. How? When I was interviewing back in 1998, the people interviewing me at Microsoft noticed from my resume... Your what? Oh, they're called CVs now. Same thing. Oh, okay, go on. They noticed then that I didn't have a college degree, even though I had 5 years of college. How did that happen? Easy. I changed majors about halfway through. But as a result, I got a wide variety of experiences. After starting out with which major? After starting off with a double major, communication and journalism. So you what? You shouldn't have gone in the first place? Oh, I'm not going there at all. In fact, I am quite grateful for some of the lessons I learned there. Why do you say that? Because I ended up learning things that helped me later in life without the cost burdens. So, let's review. You didn't graduate, but you're glad you went. Yes, and I've been very happy ever since. Now I'm just working on the growth mindset. Wait, stop. Huh? You said something about being glad you went to college. Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't exactly thrilled every single day, especially if that day contained a math class. But after a while, I realized I'd made a good choice. And then I learned how to keep that growth alive and make it work for me instead of playing into the ideas of success from some so-called industry experts. I think I see where this is going.
Break number 1.
No, Daniel. Just a hair early. Oh, let's let him go with it. We've got some examples coming up along with today's guest anyway. Okay, John. Having a chance to mull over this idea is probably a good idea anyway. And with Daniel's help, we can do it during...
Break number 1.
Hello, everyone. This is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast player. You can find us on both the App Store and the Play Store because our message is for everyone. Leave a rating for us, or even better, tell a friend. Whichever you choose, thank you so much for helping us do this for you. To leave us a written message, which just might lead to more in a future podcast, go to those same written show notes to find our subreddits. There is also our Facebook group page, Twitter, and other ways which we'll tell you about from time to time. You can also find an Easter egg every so often, so listen closely. Thank you again, and keep those constructive ideas coming. Hasn't stopped you so far, he said. I'm sorry, what? A degree requirement. And watch your languages. Oh, right. Sorry, lo siento que. Hasn't stopped you so far, he said. Who's he? The chief interviewer when I was going for that job at Microsoft. The guy who later became my first boss there. He knew I had no college degree, but he still hired me. What does this mean for investors? It means that if you want to get something done, then just do it. Many of the things I've achieved are built on the back of that success. What about first having all the qualifications? Everybody wants to start there, right? Not everybody. Don't worry about whether or not you have all the qualifications. Just go out and do it. You'll be surprised how many people are willing to hire someone with little experience or training as long as they know you can do the work. I'm hoping that by surprised, quote unquote, you mean surprised in a good way. Yes, that is the plan, monsieur. So you don't still work there? No, I'm pretty sure I do this podcast with you, among other things. Oh, right. So it's possible to sample something to get a good start and then expand into other things? It is. I did that with Microsoft and with my financial career, and I'm now coming full circle in sound production. Sort of how our guest today started as an attorney and leveraged his knowledge into some pretty sophisticated real estate transactions. Yes, but he started relatively simple with single-family homes. And now he's doing 1031 exchanges on large apartment complexes. So we should be talking to him right now rather than bantering among just you and I. Yes, we should, DT. Does he have a name, by the way? Of course he does. Where is it? Let me find it. What's his name? Commercial pilot? No. Wind turbines? No. Winner! Zach Winner. Gracias for getting that right, finally. Zach, my apologies for my imaginary friend DT. Let's instead go for a proper introduction from our friend Vina.
Hello, Zach. Glad to have you here with us today.
I'm Zach Winter, and I've been investing in commercial real estate and residential real estate for almost 40 years now. So I'm an attorney by training, but I don't practice law anymore. I'm a full-time investor, and I have a couple of investment companies at this point. But I got started in investing in real estate by buying single-family homes, like a lot of people do. So I started buying single-family homes around the country. And because I wasn't at these various locations, I live in California. I was buying in Utah, in Arizona, in Florida. So I would hire third-party property managers to manage the properties for me. And I baked that into the underwriting when I was looking at buying the properties to make sure that they all cash flowed for me. And then eventually I started buying larger and larger properties. So today my focus is on commercial properties, primarily multifamily investment properties. And through my investment firms, I bring in people who want to invest alongside me passively, and they get all of the benefits of owning real estate, but they don't have to worry about, the tenants, toilets, and termites, the asset management. We handle all of that for them.
Mm-hmm. So they can get their feet wet and start to learn about the business.
There's a couple of different ways. There are many different ways to get into real estate, right? There's so many different ways to make money and do well in real estate. But like the way I got started, and I think maybe you did as well, is we started buying single family homes, and that's how our initial introduction to real estate was. But I have a lot of clients who are getting into real estate by joining professionals like me and investing alongside me. And I do what's called syndication. So I'll syndicate or pool investor funds together, and then we as a group will collectively buy, a larger multifamily property. For example, 100, like I'm currently buying a 180 unit multifamily property in Kansas City, and we'll do the analysis and figure out, well, what's our business strategy for this property? So we look for what we call value add opportunities, where we can come in and implement various strategies to increase the ongoing cash flow that our investors receive, and then really increase the overall value of the property so that when we sell it, our investors also receive a very strong profit on sale. And then we also look at various tax advantages, right? I mean, as you know, real estate's one of the most tax advantaged investment opportunities that are out there. So we really look to take advantage of that. So we'll do a cost segregation analysis when we acquire a property that gives us the ability to accelerate the depreciation tax write-off that all of our investors receive while we hold it. And then we'll also look to 1031 exchange when we sell the property. So we call this cascading up into larger properties that provide further ongoing cash flow and greater appreciation potential. So, and continuing to defer that tax that real estate investors would otherwise have to pay on the sale of the property. So by 1031
now drilling into that 180 unit property that you said in Kansas City, when you talk about investors, are you talking about like you're raising money is through like a mutual fund, or are you that's dedicated toward that sort of thing, or are you meaning like a crowdfunding, or what's the approach?
So our approach, well, it's part of our 1031 exchange. So we're just selling an 80 unit apartment building that we close on next week, also in Kansas City. So we've identified this 180 unit property to 1031 exchange into. So all of our investors that want to continue to defer paying capital gains tax, depreciation recapture tax will come along with us, and then they'll continue to receive cash flow in this new property, or we call it the up leg property, as an exchange property. And then further appreciation. But in addition to that, we'll be raising additional capital. So we'll be raising an additional $5 or $6 million. And those investors are typically, our client base of repeat clients, high net worth individuals, a few family offices. And so on this investment, we're pooling all of these funds together into a syndication under the SEC rules and regulations. It's called a 506B offering. But basically, we accept accredited and sophisticated investors. And because we're pooling the funds together, the minimum investment is typically just $50,000. So it's very accessible for real estate investors.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Now, for those who want to follow up and find out more about either you or your fund or the things that you offer, what's the best way for them to do that?
They can reach out to me directly. My email address is ZW, like Zach Winner, at prosperitycre.com. So that's prosperity, CRE, like commercialrealestate.com. Okay, cool. That sounds great. Well, enjoyed chatting with you, and thanks very much.
Likewise. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
That's interesting. Yeah, there was a lot of good stuff there. What's the thing that impressed you the most? I was most impressed by the fact that they use 1031 exchanges instead of just talking about. Yeah, they put their money where their mouth is, right? In a manner of speaking, I guess. Sure. There's one other thing you should know, DT. Okay, what's that? I'm going to give a private quiz to you only about the best place to start investing. Wait, what?
But first, break number 2.
We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. So as soon as you're done with that, tell us your story. We have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a message. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know if that happens. The reason for subscribing? I thought you'd never ask. When you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. It just happens in your player without you having to go search again. How cool is that? This means better rankings for the podcast, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And this means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, whatever app and from whatever place you like. And don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Eso es bueno, Sybil. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. Our call to action is right in the show notes. Find it, and you win too. Perdóneme. Yes, DD? When you said earlier about a quiz, you were kidding, were you? Por supuesto. As long as you have our simple solution, that is. Of course I have it ready. Sybil, let us now dig into it then. With a shovel and no college education? Follow you I not. You said dig. Oh, it's another figure of speech. There's a lot of those in English, isn't there? there is. Actually, it's supposed to be one of the hardest languages on the planet. Because of all the exceptions to the rules? Yeah, and all the idioms and plays on words. No problem. Like investing. It's easy as cake. Easy as pie, I think you mean. Anyway, my point is well made here by you. So where am I going with this? You tell us. Okay, I will. The way in which this ties back to the idea of learning, oh, this should be good, is that if we can get better at making the most out of whatever situation we are in, we will have more options available to us. And thus, with more options, we will be able to make choices that are more likely to lead to success. Absolutely. And we will also be less stressed because we won't have to worry so much about what might happen next. Oh, so we can try new things without worrying too much about the future. Exactamundo. And that lays the groundwork for learning. Learning, additional education. Exactly. Now, I know that some people think that they don't like school or they don't want to go to school or they're done with that. They may even say that they hate studying. But if we look at it from an investing perspective, we see that learning actually remains a very good thing. In fact, it is probably the single best investment we can ever make. Why do you say that? Well, because Ben Franklin said the best investment is education, something like that. Let me ask you something first. How many times has someone told you that you should invest in yourself? Oh yeah, that's been around forever. Really? Yeah. Okay, well here's why. If you're going to invest in anything, you need to understand how to make sure that your money goes to places that will give you the highest return. And when it comes to investing in yourself, the place to start is by understanding what makes you unique. What makes you different from everybody else? What sets you apart? I'm guessing that requires some practice. Yes, and patience. And here's the key. We need to learn how to identify and leverage our strength. This is something that takes time, but once we do, we will find ourselves making better decisions, having greater opportunities, and being more successful overall. Wow. Yeah, wow indeed. That's great. How many properties did you say you own, DT? I didn't say. Okay, then I'll ask. How many? Not enough, but more than people buy with the typical annual salary approach. So when you say not enough, do you mean you're not satisfied? No, I'm not. And you're not happy? Oh, do not misunderstand. I'm happy. I'm just not satisfied because I want more. Why do you want more? Because I can do it. Without help? A little help is always good. Okay, because that's probably something our friend Zach can help you with. Getting more? Yeah, that. But even more important than that, doing it smart. But that also takes patience. That it does. Practice and patience. Again. Practice and patience. Again. Practice it. Oh, you're trying to get me to say repetition, aren't you?
Yep. Which is how you've all gotten good.
Gracias por escuchar.
Salut. À la prochaine.
This podcast and our other podcast are productions of Little Red Hen Industries. The supporting cast who helps me bake the bread includes
Techno King, John C. Brandy, Alter Ego, Doubting Thomas, Fact Checker, A Small Brown Beef Animal, Seriously, Tiny. Facts are important but are also easy. Social Manager, Abraham Lincoln, Media Expert, Augustus Caesar. Psychologist, William James. Sound Designer, Adobe's Creative Suite. Spanish Consultant, Cameron J.K. Brandy. French Consultant, Leah, the Do-Your-Own Research Lady. Videographer, Eto Monkoshki. Audio Props, Les Paul. Inspiration, many podcasts and other sources, and of course Napoleon Hill.
We also have websites, and you can subscribe to both podcasts. You can even send us a video, audio, or text message, but of course, you'll have to head to the show notes, either on your phone or on the web, to get the links and stuff. And all those clickable links are in the show notes.
And before we forget, the artificial intelligence or AI voices that you hear in our work are offered up by Google, Amazon Polly, and OpenAI, like we say in the show notes. They don't sponsor us yet, but we love what they do, and we just love what AI can do when lovingly crafted.
Finally, you can find us on Podmatch.com, Matchmaker.fm, Podbooker and Podcast Guests, where we consider guests and consider guesting on other people's shows.
And really finally, the music for our pods comes from Cute by Ben Sound and from Piano Background by Nick Simon Adams, as well as from AI MuseNet. The sound effect credits go to Jackson Academy Ashmore, Canoe CG, Dr. Jekyll, Joe Payne, Everything Sounds, MK Play More Stories, ERH, Sand Emotions, Big Pickle 51, and Just Kidding. Yes, that's his or her name. All on freesound.org. Also, languages are the bomb.
Paul.